Hello and welcome our blood viewers to RTD's News English edition. As usual, we bring to you the major and top highlights of tonight. Launch of the Youth Entrepreneurship Project for Adaptation to Climate Change, Ministry of Agriculture. And on the international scene, COP29, the promise of climate financing divided by five outrages, the countries of the South. Those were the major and top highlights. Welcome back to our newsroom, our beloved viewers. On the last leg of his official mission to China, the Minister of National Education and Vocational Training, Mr. Mustafa Mohammed Mahmoud, accompanied by Technical Advisor Mohammed Abdi Giri, Mrs. Ron Saeed Haj Ismail, and Cripen's Communication Director Hussein Abdullahi, took part in the 2024 session of the World Conference on the Development of Vocational Training in Tianjin from 20 to 22 November under the theme of Innovation Drives of the Future and Know-How Shapes of Our Lives. This large-scale event brought together more than 1,000 participants, including ministers, ambassadors, senior officials, experts, and industrials from 77 countries. The opening ceremony, presided over by the Minister of Education in the People's Republic of China, was marked by a speech underlining the importance of vocational training as a lever for economic and social development and individual well-being. In his speech, he highlighted the need to strengthen education system through international collaboration in order to meet the challenges of the modern world, such as the digital revolution and the ecological transition. Shortly after the opening ceremony, the minister took part in a parallel session devoted to exchange of experience and best practices. During the session, which focused on the theme of training a highly qualified workforce, he gave a speech focusing on the progress made by Djibouti in the field of vocational training as well as the challenges and prospects for the future. Despite this challenge, he reaffirmed Djibouti's determination to pursue the modernization of its educational training system with the ultimate aim of reducing youth unemployment and promoting the development of promising economic sectors. In the afternoon, the minister took part in a roundtable of 32 education ministers from participating countries chaired by the Chinese Minister of Education. The meeting provided an opportunity for in-depth discussions on the main challenge to be met in order to strengthen vocational training worldwide. The discussions highlighted a number of crucial issues, such as the need to strengthen digital skills, ensure quality training for all, and guarantee better integration of young people into the labor market. The ministers also stressed the need for greater international cooperation to meet this challenge. They agreed that strengthened partnerships and regular exchange between countries can make a significant contribution to improving vocational training systems. This exchange of best practices and experience aim to harmonize international standards and share innovative approaches in this field. After 2 days of enriching exchange on the future of vocational training, the conference ended with the presentation of the prize for the vocational training competition on vocational training. This prestigious prize was awarded in recognition of best practices and innovation in the field. To close this major event, China's Minister of Education gave a speech in which he emphasized the importance of international cooperation to meet the challenge of vocational training. as part of the Youth Entrepreneurship Project for Adaptation to Climate Change. The Ministry of Agriculture, Water, Fisheries, Livestock, and Heliotech Resources, in collaboration with the AIDB, African Development Bank, and IFAD, officially launched for the project on Sunday, 24th November 2024, in the presence of Mr. Muhammad Ahmad Awale, Minister of Agriculture, Water, Fisheries, Livestock, and Heliotech Resources, Mr. Ilyas Musa Dawali, Minister of the Economy and Finance in charge of Industry, Mr. Pascal Sanginga, Head of the Ministry of the Economy and Finance in charge of Industry, Head of Delegation of the African Development Bank, and Ibrahim Ilmi Mohammed, General Secretary of the Ministry of Agriculture, with an overall budget of 57.4 million US dollars, about 10.4 billion Djiboutian francs. This project is financed on the one hand by a grant from the African Development Bank through the African Development Fund, the Transition Support Facility TSF Prevention Envelope, in the Climate Action Window, and on the other hand a loan from the IFD. This can include permanent jobs and 2,300 temporary jobs, mainly affecting young people, 80%, and women, 40%. The target areas include the regions of Ali Sebeh, Dekhil, Oboch, and etc. Every year, the National Agency for Persons with Disabilities organizes National Disability Week during the last week of November. Every year, the NPH, the National Agency for Persons with Disabilities, organizes National Disability Week during the last week of November. This event is an essential opportunity to raise public awareness of the rights of people with disabilities, such as the NPH, and encourage their inclusion. This year's theme is Supporting Inclusion, celebrating the diversity of disability. The main aim is to raise awareness of the rights and needs of people with disabilities, while highlighting the importance of their social and professional inclusion. The MPH, the aim is to mobilize public and private players in civil society to support inclusion, to highlight the contributions made by people with disabilities in the different sectors of society, and to publicize the work carried out by AMPH and its partners to promote the inclusion of peoples with disabilities. As I mentioned, every year, the National Agency for Peoples with Disabilities, AMPH, organizes National Disability Week during the last week of November. This event is an essential opportunity to raise public awareness of the rights with peoples and encourage their decisions. This year's theme is Supporting Inclusion, celebrating the diversity of disability. The main aim is to raise awareness of the rights and needs of peoples with disability, while of course highlighting the importance of their social and professional inclusion. The aim is to mobilize public and private players and civil society to support inclusion, to highlight the contribution made with people with disabilities in different sectors of society, and to publicize the work carried out by the MPH and its partners to promote the inclusion of people with disabilities. We're still with AMPH. As part of the 6th National Disability Week, the Director General of the National Assembly for People with Disability, Mr. Douali Said Mahmoud, and the Minister for Social Affairs and Solidarity, Mrs. Ulufa Ismail Abdo, officially opened the AMPH's new lunch branches in Djibouti City. In the Mass Social Services offices, the ceremony marks a key moment in the two institutions' commitment to improving and facilitating access to social services for people with disabilities. The main aim of this initiative for people with disabilities by providing a more accessible environment that is closer to users. The project reflects a shared desire to improve the effectiveness and quality of social support and integration services for people with disabilities. The new launches is an integrated countries is the fruit of sole partnership between MAS and MPH, represent a decisive step in the strategy of proximity and social inclusion. They will provide a more appropriate reception services with the aim of giving people with disabilities easier access to their rights and to the benefits available to them. This is an important step towards a more inclusive society where accessibility and equal opportunities are key priorities. The launch of the workshop to evaluate the food control system in the Republic of Djibouti was held today at Palace Kempinski in Djibouti. The aim of the workshop was to maximize the conclusions of the assessment, approve the recommendations, and share a common vision of food control. Their strategic action plan also aims to protect Djiboutian consumers from poor quality products and to make the food trade more competitive. The evaluation workshop is organized by the Ministry of Trade in collaboration with FAO. The development of this strategic action plan is being carried out with the technical support of AFO, a world leader in the promotion of food safety. The workshop was attended by the General Secretary of the Ministry of Trade, the Director General of the Djibouti Standards Agency (ADN), the relevant authorities and technicians from the various departments and agencies responsible for food control systems. Over the 3 days, the relevant authorities will examine and prioritize the recommendations made during the assessment. They will also discuss and validate a strategic action plan to strengthen the food control systems in Djibouti. Ahmed Dini Farah is one of the main pillars of the National Radio and Television Corporation. After completing his studies in political economy and cinema, Mr. Ahmed Dini Farah returned in Djibouti in 1980, just 3 years after the country's independence. With determination and resolve, he used his expertise to support the national television, becoming the first Djiboutian director in this field. Let's watch.
Ahmed Dini Farah, the Djiboutian media pioneer who made history after completing his studies in political economy and cinema. Ahmed Dini Farah returned to Djibouti in 1980, just 3 years after the country's independence. With determination and persistence, he used his expertise to support national television, becoming the first Djiboutian leader in this field. Ahmed Dini soon began directing television reports and short films, in addition to conveying prominent national events, such as the inauguration of the Sultan of Tajora in 1985. His passion for the profession led him to delve into societal issues and present them in the cinematic style that combined the art with humanitarian messages. Ahmed Dini left an indelible mark with his work that's influenced generation in Djibouti. Among his famous works are The Mirage and The Al-Kabir Musa, which tells the story of a short, unemployed man rejected by the society who decides to become a conman. This film achieved a remarkable success, along with other works such as Al-Rajul wal-Mar'a and the Adraj al-Ibad, which have remained in the memory of viewers. His creativity was not limited to the local level, but also gained international attention. He participated in prestigious regional and African festivals, such as the Arab Radio and Television Festival in Cairo, the Audiovisual Festival of Francophone countries in Bamako, and the Transtel competition in Nairobi, Kenya. Thanks to his significant contributions, Ahmed Dini rose through the ranks of management until he was appointed Deputy Director of Radio and Television Djibouti RTD in 1996. In 2014, the President of the Republic, His Excellency Mr. Ismail Margile awarded him a Medal of Honor in recognition of his prominent role in enhancing the country's media image. Ahmed Dini was distinguished throughout his career by his modesty and high professionalism. It was not only his professional techniques that made him respected, but also his human values and his collaborative spirit. He was always there to support his colleagues and guide beginners with a spirit of positivity and kindness. With his passing, the media world in Djibouti has lost one of the most prominent figures, but his legacy will live on through his cinematic works and programs that left a deep impact. His memory will live on in the hearts of his family, friends, and colleagues who knew him as a humble, dedicated man and exceptional media leader. We ask Allah the Almighty to grant him his paradise of Firdausa. Inna lillahi wa inna ilayhi raji'un.
May Allah have mercy on his soul. Continuing with the national scene as part of the fight against crime in the growing floating population, the National Police organized a major operation to round up illegal immigrants on Thursday. A total of 490 people were arrested and taken to the Nagad Administrative Detention Center. This large-scale operation is carried out by the men of the Safety and Capacity Department continue every evening in the various districts of the capital. The aim of this operation is to act as a deterrent in the fight against illegal immigration and insecurity. This raid are aimed not only at combating illegal immigration but also at indicating the flow of beggars. These actions will continue for as long as necessary to put a stop to the delinquency and criminality generated by the flow of migrants. Saturday 23rd saw the closing of the inter-district tournament organized by two dedicated volunteers from the Obokh Sports Complex, Kamil Saleh and Musa Muhammad, under the direction of the SES. The final pitted the FC AMMK and FC Plateau teams against each other. The game was kicked off by the president of the regional council, Mr. Muhammad Humad, in the presence of the deputy director of the sports complex and the organizers. The hard-fought match took place at a friendly, competitive atmosphere. At the end of the match, the FC Plateau team came out on top, winning by a decisive score. This event illustrates the commitment of the organizers and the sporting fervor of the people of Hayu. Shifting gears towards the international scene now, hundreds of Palestinians have fled Shujaya and Gaza City after the Israeli army issued new displacement orders and threatened to bomb the northern neighborhood. Let's watch.
Hundreds of Palestinians fled Shuja'iyah in Gaza City after the Israeli army issued new displacement orders and threatened to bomb the northern neighborhood, the Wafa news agency reported. Dozens of families fled the area on foot, carrying a few belongings and blankets on their backs, Wafa reported, citing local sources. The orders came as the tightened Israeli siege on northern Gaza, including Jabalia, Beit al-Hanun, and Beit Lahia, entered its 8th week. Israeli forces continued to pound Gaza on Saturday evening, killing at least 6 people in the Nusayriya refugee camp, 4 in the Bridge refugee camp, and another in the Magazi refugee camp. 2 children were among the 4 people killed in the Israeli bombardment of a house in the Bridge refugee camp. in the center of Gaza Strip. Israeli forces shelled a house in the Nusayriya refugee camp, killing at least 6 people and wounding 3 others, according to the Wafa news agency.
COP29, currently underway in Baku, Azerbaijan, has been marked by deep disillusionment on the part of developing countries. More with our colleague Faisal Al-Azhari.
29 in Baku, Azerbaijan, has been marked by deep disillusionment on the part of developing countries. Discussions on climate financing, the central theme of the summit, resulted in proposal for 250 billion US dollars between now and 2035, an amount deemed largely insufficient by the most vulnerable nations. Our expectations were low, but this is a slap in the face, says Muhammad Adou, director of Power Shift Africa. According to him, this amount represents 1/5 of what the developing countries ask for. None of them will accept this. This sum exceeds the target set 15 years ago, which was capped at $100 billion a year, but it is still well below the demands of the countries of the South, which have been hit by climate disasters. From the outset, COP29 has focused on climate financing, which is essential to cover losses, adapt to global warming, and move away from fossil fuels, points out one delegate. The project has also been criticized for its lack of transparency. Details were not revealed until 12 hours after the promised date, fueling frustrations.
The United Nations Office for the Coordination of Humanitarian Affairs announced on Friday that 2024 has become the deadliest year on record for humanitarian workers. Faisal Al-Azhari.
United Nations Office for the Coordination of Humanitarian Affairs announced on Friday that 2024 has become the deadliest year on record for humanitarian workers. Since January, 281 humanitarian workers have lost their lives, surpassing the previous record of 280 set in 2023. The majority of these losses are linked to the conflict in the Middle East. Since October 7th, more than 328 workers have been killed in the Gaza Strip, a figure that mainly includes employees of UNRWA, the UN Agency for Palestinian Refugees. Many were killed on mission providing essential humanitarian assistance, said Stefan Dujarric, spokesman for the UN Secretary General. In addition to Gaza, the UN is reporting an increase in violence against humanitarian workers in Gaza. The report, based on data from the Aid Worker Security Database, highlights that 268 of the victims were local employees.
But these are blood viewers. We finally conclude this edition. Thank you for being with us, and make sure to tune in later for more as usual. Have a wonderful evening and take care.